Welcome and thank you for joining us. I'm Jessica Barbier, your host for the Cox OC Connection. On today's segment, we'll be highlighting the Children's Education Foundation of Orange County. And with us today to tell us about all the work that they're doing in the community, I'm happy to be joined with Gail Eastman, who's a former council member in the city of Anaheim. She's also the chair of the Children's Education Foundation. She's joined with Stan Oftley, the author of Nothing Rhymes with Orange, which is a true statement, and Jordan, who had the opportunity of attending the Gift of History just a couple months ago. Thank you so much for being here today. And Gail, if you can start us off and give us some background on the Children's Education Foundation.
Well, the Children's Education Foundation was formed 4 years ago in order to support this program. The program actually started as a local Anaheim program. I authored a book called Anna's Home by the River, and we did that for Anaheim's Sesquicentennial. And along with that, we started giving the books out to the students in Anaheim about their local history, and we called it the Mayor's Gift of History. So then, when we had Stan's book in 2010, we initiated the program then in 2011 to support giving the books to every third grader in the county at an incredible event like the Gift of History.
And Stan, tell us a little bit about your book and how you came up with the concept.
The idea is to make education in our local history that's alive all around us, everywhere in Orange County, available to third graders. Now, third graders are just at that point where they're going out of picture books and they're going into chapter books. So they have to be engaged a little bit differently. They have to be written, a book has to be written that gives them the opportunity to learn about the wonderful place they live and the history of Orange County.
And it's so clever. I love the title. It's very relevant for us here in Orange County. And so every child that attends the Gift of History at Angel Stadium walks away with one of your books.
So far, in the Gift of History program, they've given 50,000 books away.
That's incredible.
So 50,000 third graders throughout the county, not all at the same time, but over those 4 years have gotten copies of that book, and we hope to give another 50,000 away in the next 3 or 4 years.
And Gail, I want to see the evolution. So if you can illustrate to us what the Gift of History originally looked like, how the idea came, and now where it's at today.
Well, the original idea was, as Stan said, to provide local third graders with local history to study from. And we did it we were actually at the convention center, and we invited all of the Anaheim third graders. And so we had as many as about 3,000 of them. And that was with my book, which was strictly about Anaheim. But then we took the idea bigger, as in for the whole county, and let's do something that we can present to every third grader in Orange County.
And how many kids were at the event this year?
We had 10,000, and this is not as many as we've had in the past. The first year, actually, we set a world record for the largest history lesson ever given. It was certified by Guinness World Book of Records.
That's so great. Not many people can say that.
Yeah, so it was the largest history lesson ever given, and it was over 13,000. We actually had about 18,000 kids there, but they're very strict about how they qualify them. And if somebody's not paying attention or gotten up to go to the restroom, any of that, that's discounted.
Oh,
so
you have to work to get this experience.
We know from the figures and the transportation and the sign-ins, we know that we had about 18,000 students there, but we're only certified for a little over 13,000. So, but that's still a really great world record to hold.
So the viewers at home, or for me who haven't been able to see it firsthand, can you walk us through what's the event all about? What do the kids see? What's happening at Angel Stadium that day?
Well, it's a giant history lesson. Where the children come into the stadium, and we have a pre-show that kind of just keeps them engaged. And in that, we start asking questions about history, and they are up on the Jumbotron and they answer them, and we have music and a lot, just kind of keeping them busy, warming them up, kind of like a pre-show.
Okay, and then we're looking at some footage right here. There's a lot of energy in the stadium. And is this part of the pre-show?
No,
yeah.
Oh, great.
Exactly, that's part of the pre-show. And we have students from the Performing Arts
high
school in Orange County that come and they help out with this preschool. We also had, we taped ahead of time, we asked students questions, and so those were presented.
How
That was a part
fun.
of it. So the kids got to see some of their classmates.
Oh my! Can you imagine if you're
screen.
in front of 10,000 of students in Orange County and you see yourself on the Jumbotron?
Exactly. So, and here's an example of the questions on the Jumbotron, and the kids get to answer them, and you see they're all very engaged.
And Jordan, I want to hear firsthand from you. You were one of those kids that were jumping around and all the energy. What was it like that day?
It was very exciting, and I like to answer questions because I like to challenge myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of my favorite parts.
Did you feel like you learned a lot about history that day?
Yes.
It's a good way to learn, huh?
Yeah.
Too bad every day at school couldn't be like that, huh?
Yeah.
And so you were good. You followed everything. You got to go to the event, so you were a good student. And it was a great experience to be a third grader and be able to attend.
Yes.
If you have any friends that are in second or first grade right now, you're going to tell them to make sure that they get the opportunity to attend.
I actually don't have any friends.
Well, we got to go get you
in
some
those
friends in first and
grades.
second grade. You can
Yeah.
help promote the event. What was your favorite theme from that day?
Probably the questions, or when there was like a helicopter, it landed on a field.
There was a helicopter that landed
Yeah.
on the field. That is incredible. Stan, tell us a little bit maybe about the helicopter and then also your partnership with Disney on this event.
We have great partners, great corporate partners. The Walt Disney Company, the Angels, Angel Baseball has been a great supporter. Cox has been a great supporter. I could list the 20 or so great corporate supporters that we have. We always need more because that allows more kids to attend. And the more kids that get this opportunity is a great one. A lot of the kids are like Jordan, and if their schools don't go, well, as individuals they can go. All they have to do is let us know they want to come.
Oh, that's
And
great.
it's wide open, public and private schools. We're
Okay.
very successful in both places.
There's the helicopter.
We'll pay, yeah, there's the helicopter.
There's your helicopter, Jordan.
I think this time we usually have celebrity guests. This is the Wiener Schnitzel lady.
Oh, I love it.
She's the CEO of Wiener Schnitzel. And she came from Colorado to talk a little bit about. The kids seem to like this guy.
Oh, Mickey, that might be my highlight if I was there.
He's pretty
Third
big.
grade or now.
He's pretty big.
Oh, how fun.
It's very much all about big, giant experiences, things that the kids can pick out and relate to, just like the helicopter or the fire truck that comes through,
The horse-drawn carriage.
drawn by horses and steaming away. Just all of the things that are very interactive almost for the kids.
You know, you want children to become engaged in the program. So it's a mix of entertainment and history. And it isn't all just like reading dates, although we did test them and Jordan did pretty well on knowing all those dates and figuring things out as they went up on the screen. So they have to engage and learn that as part of it too. But you've got to get them to understand it and pay attention. If we can convince kids that some of the streets were around their school have names of people who created Orange County, or some of the towns are actually named after real people, parks, schools, streets, pretty soon they get to say, you know, maybe something happened here before me. And that's a nice thing to have happen. That's some light goes on. They learn a little bit about it.
I completely agree with that. So this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the great sponsors that you had mentioned. You guys are working throughout the year on fundraising so you can make it available to as many kids as possible. Tell me a little bit about your fundraising efforts throughout the year.
Well, basically, our fundraising efforts have been interacting with individuals that we are either introduced to, and we know that they head up a corporation, as in the Wiener Schnitzel lady, that she is in charge of a corporation, and they are interested in kids and supporting kids in education. So we try to engage in a lot of this one-on-one, and our board members are who we engage to work and to work with us, with myself, with a couple of other board members, with Stan. We'll go out and meet one-on-one. And then our other fundraising effort is to apply for grants from foundations and working on that kind of thing. And then we actually encourage individuals to buy a bus. You know, $300, a check for $300 will pay for a bus to get a classroom of kids there.
And that's great
So-
too, to have that tangible, here's a $300 donation and you actually
Right.
see what you're doing
I
firsthand.
think that after they've gone seen this wonderful program, after they've been, screaming and yelling, because only third graders can scream and yell for an hour, when they leave, they get a package, and in the package is the book. Well, volunteers from the various corporations that are supporting this like to send volunteers to hand the books out. It's nice to have that direct interaction with kids to see if they do it, and we're testing him on whether or not he read the book and he can answer all the questions that we have in it. Well, that's good, and there's a reward for the corporate donor, not just in terms of knowledge that you did something, but actually physically handing it to somebody. Makes a huge difference.
How many volunteers do you guys need for these? It's a production.
Oh yeah, hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we had probably the largest number of volunteers, and we had between 200 and 300 volunteers that helped us with directing the children to seating. We work with the stadium's professionals, but we utilized volunteers from Disney's volunteer program.
Oh, yeah.
Have been with us every year.
They're great.
We had a tremendous number from HP, which is one of our major sponsors, AT&T people. Any corporation that has a volunteer program, and the City of Anaheim has a volunteer program, and they encourage their people to volunteer their time to go out and do things like this. So it takes a lot of those kind of people to be directed, and then they all get the opportunity after the program's over to help hand out those books.
What are your 2015 fundraising goals to make this happen again?
We know we need to raise a minimum of $200,000 in order to make sure that we can have 10,000 kids.
Okay.
We would like to up that to between 15 and 20,000 if possible this year, and we know that it costs us about $20 a student.
Okay.
So you can just sort of do the math from there.
And if our viewers at home wanted to be a volunteer that day, wanted to get their corporate group out there, or wanted to make a donation, maybe simply doing a $300 bus donation to get some of the kids over to the stadium, where could they go to learn more?
Our website, giftofhistory.org. Pretty easy. If you type in Gift of History, it'll pop up on there, and we have the website. They can donate through that. They can get more information about us through that.
And if they want to go as individuals, if you have a third grader and your school can't go or won't go, or just it doesn't work out for them that year, we want to welcome them. They just
Okay.
have to go to that same website.
I love that you do
Register.
that. That's
Come.
great.
We want to have everybody come.
And then Stan, you had touched on this briefly when you were talking about kids getting to learn about the history and the street names. So I'm going to have one question that all of you are going to answer, and you can answer in different ways. But the essential question of how does where you live affect how you live?
Ooh, Common Core. Nice question. You cheated. That's the Common Core question. And I think the answer is that if you live by the ocean, you have a different view than someone who lives by a desert. If you live in a high income area where there's more opportunities, you have a greater chance for success than if you live in a poorer area. Those are singular facts that affect who you are and change what your life is.
Gail, would you answer the same way? Or?
Well, similarly, but I think that's a part of the core of why we want to expose every third grader in our county. We'd like to expose all of them to the opportunity to learn more about where they live and be inspired to be a part of the history of this county as it grows and changes. And many of these kids have never even been to Anaheim Stadium.
Oh,
And
it's
so that's a
incredible.
huge,
In itself, yeah.
yeah, that's a big deal for a third grader who's never been there.
Yeah.
And it opens their world to make it a little wider than just the neighborhood they live in.
It does. Well, I think you were ahead of the game with 4 years ago, knowing that this is where learning's going in the Common Core testing, and it's very different than when I went to school, and I'm jealous, frankly. But thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for the support and working on this year-round to make such an incredible learning experience possible for kids like Jordan. And for our viewers at home, thank you so much for joining us. For information on our local programming, please visit our website, cox3.com. And to check out some of our community initiatives, grants, and scholarships, please visit cox-cares.org. Thanks again for joining us.